All right, we gotta get this done because the baby is asleep and I now have to go to the laundromat because my cat threw up on my duvet and it doesn't fit in my washer. So let's get through April. So if you're new here, my name is Casey and I am on a no buy year for 2024. Now, what does that mean? It means I'm not buying stuff that I don't need, but I am allowing myself to buy things that I do need. This is mostly because I'm a minimalist, but it also is because I desperately need to fix my finances for myself, my husband, and my small child. So if you are in a similar boat or you are tired of overconsumption and are in desperate need for somebody else to be in a crazy financial boat with you, I'm your girl. If you haven't seen the previous month's videos, check those out. Those are fun. But today, we're talking about April. So for this month, I prepped nothing. Usually, when I'm prepping my no-buy videos, I'm updating my graphs throughout the month and calculating my spending as I go. This month, I didn't do any of that until the very end of the month because I wanted to see if not checking the numbers would affect how I spent my money. Spoiler alert, of course it did. Now, did I go crazy? No. But are there some surprises that I didn't expect? Absolutely. So let's start with the positive moments. I taught a ton at the Atlanta School of Photography, which is one of the places that I work. So I taught 2 different classes. I also taught some workshops. I also taught a ton of private lessons. I had a mentorship. And this money doesn't go directly to me, like to my personal accounts that we're monitoring in these videos, but it does go into my business checking account. And that helps me kind of like bolster that account so that in the slow months of the summer that are upcoming, I have a little bit more cushion so that I don't have to stop my payroll. I can just keep rolling. And I've really loved working with them. This has been a big boost for my business account, but also for like my business mentality. It gets me around other photographers. It gets me talking about photography. It's been really great. So we did a ton of that in April. Now the big win for April was I saved a ton of money, partially because I didn't pay anything on the medical bill. We talked about that in March. I won't go into it again. I'm starting to stress out about it, but it's fine. So all of that extra money I ended up putting in savings. I was able to reach the goal of getting my house emergency fund and my personal emergency fund to $3,000 each. Yes. So I ended up saving like $800 last month into a savings account. I am so proud of myself. That was like, I just never thought that was going to be able to happen. Now, was I cutting it close at the end of the month there with that checking account? Yes, I was, but that's okay. Those emergency funds are really turning into like an emotional emergency fund because it makes me feel like our butts are not about to scrape the bottom of the barrel ever. It means that like our checking account doesn't have to be at a high point all the time because that money is just for ins and outs. That money is just for regular expenses. We have emergency funds set aside for big expenses if they pop up. That's for my personal account and for our house account. I am very proud of myself that we were able to get that done. We are going to continue to fund those, but now that we've reached the 3,000 goal for each, we don't have to like as aggressively do that. Okay, let's talk about the less positive moments. So we took a little trip to Illinois, which is where my husband is from, and we were going up to visit, but we were also going up to pick up these beautiful barrister bookshelves. Now these were in my father-in-law's law office. Why is this a less positive moment? Well, we had to rent a U-Haul to go to Illinois to pick these up and bring them back, which wasn't that expensive. It was like $100, but it was gas, additional gas than we normally spend. Obviously the U-Haul bill and food while we were out there. Now we went to the grocery store, we cooked at home. We didn't go out while we were in Illinois, but it's surprising how much these like irregularities in schedule, although those are the things that like make life fun and exciting, cost more money. So these were expenses. I'm counting this as a less positive moment because these are expenses that were not planned necessarily. We kind of just decided we were going to take this trip and we were going to go get these things. Now, do I now have new beautiful bookshelves for essentially $0? Yes, but I am not super stoked with how much money it cost us to get them here. We were also like sick for most of the month. So my husband has had this really bad cough and it ended up having croup, which is very scary. So there were a lot of urgent care visits. There were a lot of pediatrician appointments. There was medication that was needed to be purchased and prescriptions. And it's not like obscene. We have health insurance, but it was expensive enough for me to get like kind of pissed about it. But yet again, it was one of those expenses that like you don't plan for. And as we're starting to build our emergency funds and as we're starting to realize like these kinds of things will happen and we need to just plan for them to happen, Benton trip and then everybody being sick, it was It was a lot. And with everybody being sick, not only is it the doctor cost and the prescription cost, but it's also like we're less vigilant about, well, we're really tired, we don't feel well, let's order dinner. Or we're not as vigilant about cleaning the house. Or we're not as vigilant about just our spending in general because we're not, you know, feeling top notch. So therefore we're not gonna like stay on top of this stuff top notch because we're trying to take care of ourselves, you know? We're gonna do a little news segment in these videos about a goal update. Because if you saw my last video, I kind of updated you on the actual like goals of why I started this no buy year because I haven't been talking about them in any of the other videos. I've just been talking about the money. So we're gonna talk about it here. Alcohol. Didn't buy any in April for the house. Woohoo! Books. Didn't buy any in April. Woohoo! Mostly I just like finished the Bridgerton series from my library, and also I'm reading the Flight Portfolio right now again, and it's 1,000,000 pages long. So I think the goal and the tip for how not to buy books is just like reread really, really thick books, and it'll take you longer and therefore you won't buy as many books. You're welcome. Clothes, none for me. Furniture and home goods. So we did this weird thing where we bought one ceiling fan, but ended up moving 4 light fixtures in our house. So I bought a ceiling fan, as I mentioned in the last video, and we installed it in our room. We took the ceiling fan from our room, put it in our son's room, took the light from our son's room, and put it in our dining room, and sold the light from the dining room. Now, I sold the light in our dining room for $100. I bought the ceiling fan in our room for $70. So I'm gonna go with this was like a net positive experience all around anyway, but technically I did buy a ceiling fan. Baby stuff. Okay, and this is like really great if you're a new parent because, or if you're about to be a new parent, because this is like real-time tracking to see how little your baby actually needs, okay? So these registries that have 1,000,000 things on them for like the first 3 years of your baby's life. Obviously, we buy diapers, we buy formula. We're almost done buying formula, thank the good Lord. But like we don't buy him that many things. He likes to play with pens and his bottles. So this month, I took some stuff to Once Upon a Child and I purchased some shorts for him because he had like 2 pairs that fit. And because I was like selling stuff to them, I got like a special discount for buying the shorts, and they were already like only $4 each anyway, so loved that deal. And also when we went to Illinois, his cousin Sabrina, who has given him most of his clothes, gave us a whole other box of clothes and a new toy that he absolutely adores. So very little baby stuff in April, like 4 or 5 pairs of shorts. Food and drink. We went to Illinois and we spent a ton on groceries because we cooked and ate at the house, which is great. My sister-in-law and I DoorDashed Dairy Queen one time, but it was free, so I don't even count that. But while we were here, we didn't go out. Paint and home improvement. I finished Emmett's Rails, but other than that, nada. The bookshelves, I didn't have to buy anything. My mom was able to bring me the things that I needed because she had them in her house. So we didn't really spend anything on home improvement this month. Yes. All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, the debt roundup. Let's look at some graphs. One of them has been here the whole time. So for my spending, I spent $1,500 on necessity bills. That was mostly putting money into the house account to pay for our mortgage and the lights and the gas for the house and water, those things. Savings, $880. 50 going into my Fidelity, 20 going into the Smarty Pig, and the rest of it going into my emergency fund to get me to that $3,000 goal. Woohoo! So BS, we did have $67 in like spending just like around. Medical was $90 because of prescriptions and doctor visits. And then gas, I put $31 of my own money into my car for non-business trips. Now this is the graph that I want us to look at a little more closely. So my debt like did not go down. Why? Because I didn't pay the medical bill. Because that was really the only one debt I was paying. The Capital One was just kind of like a revolving door of like debt and payment, debt and payment, debt and payment. And like whatever day I chose to make this video was like the amount that was on the Capital One. So because I stopped paying the medical debt, the debt just didn't go down like at all. Like less than $100. That's not good. However, our savings, and by our savings I mean my savings, went up almost $1,000, which is great. So we're still going in the right direction, but our margins are very tiny. Was not encouraged by this when I saw it, because it occurred to me that because if I'm not paying the medical debt, I'm really not paying any debt right now. So let's talk about what debts I still have. $0 on my Wells Fargo card. Capital One was at $31 when I did this. Medical debt, didn't pay anything, so it's the same. Personal loan, I didn't pay anything. I didn't pay anything. We're still using the money from the personal loan to pay the personal loan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch previous videos. So that stayed the same. Jim Ford loan, my father-in-law. Haven't done any of that either. So that stayed the same. So I'm still coming out at $17,683 and some change in debt from me. Yikes. Obviously that doesn't include the mortgage. But let's talk about the money that I do have. So in the Fidelity, I am actively contributing to the IRA. Not a lot, but a little bit. And so it is growing. Last month was like not great for the market though. So like it did not go up as much as it had been, but it's okay. Long game, long game. The American Express is basically at $3,000. It's like, after the interest charges go through, it'll be at $3,000. The Smarty Pig has $80 in it. So my total amount of money to my name is $8,253 and some change. It's going up. It's going in the right direction. I have to remember it's going to take some time. And the thing is, saving $800 in a month is basically one of my whole paychecks. So I get paid twice a month. My net is like $863 or something every 2 weeks. I know. Making basically $30,000 a year is not good in today's day and age, but I pay myself, have access to more money if I need it. This is the budget I'm setting for myself. So hitting that $3,000 goal with the Amex high yield savings account was huge for me. I was really proud that I was able to do that. I feel like that was one of the first big like chunks, the first big steps in this very long staircase of paying off my debt and getting myself financially sound. And it occurred to me that finally this month I realized that I'm basically doing the avalanche method of debt payoff, or I'm about to start doing the avalanche method of paying off. The medical bill, now that I've decided that I'm not paying it anymore, I'm going to start with the highest interest debt, which is the personal loan. So let's talk about next month's goals, since I'm already like spoiler alerting it right now. The goal is we're not gonna use the Capital One at all. Dan and I had our money meeting finally. That's why this video is coming out so late. And we've decided we're gonna stop using it. We're not being good credit card people. We are getting charged interest. We have the money in our checking account, so why don't we just like use the one account and stop like messing around with it? So that's what we're gonna do. We've stopped using the Capital One. We removed all of the automatic payments to the Capital One. We're not gonna use it anymore. It's there if we need it. We may decide to use it in the future again, but we're not using it right now. I'm really happy about this because then it's like, I don't even know when it's due. You know what I mean? Like the Capital One, it's so irritating because like the due date changes every month because it's like on a specific amount of days, not like on a specific date of the month. And I freaking hate that. It's so insidious. And I'm so glad that Dan was like, nope, I don't want to use it anymore. And I think this is important because Dan got really excited at the end of last month when he saw how much cash was in the checking account for the house. And I was like, Dan, but like I haven't paid the Capital One yet. So like that's not actually how much money we have. So like I hate that idea of like, oh man, look at all this cash we have. But like we had this big bill on the Capital One. And I'm like, well, let's just work with the money we have. And I'm so glad that he agreed to that. Another one of my goals for next month, for May, is to start saving big chunks for the personal loan. So like I said a minute ago, the personal loan is basically the highest interest debt that we will then have because the Capital One is no longer accruing interest. That's like 30% or something absurd. So we're not using it anymore. So we're not even gonna have that debt because it's at zero right now. The Capital One is paid off. So my next highest interest debt is the personal loan. It starts coming due in September, October. So what I'm going to do now, since I've taken the medical bill off my plate, is I'm going to start basically pretending to pay the personal loan. I'm going to start putting it into my high yield savings account, the payments that I'll need to make come October. And then it's already a part of my habit. It's already like a ritual that I have. I'm already used to that money going away. And so when October comes, it's not like this huge additional bill that's coming out of my pocket. I think this is a very good idea, and Dan's on board. And then come October, he will decide, since he has to make the payments, that if he wants me to just give him the lump sum or if he wants me to like pay him out regularly. And it's so messed up. So if you take out a personal loan, especially if it's through like Discover, not trying to throw shade, just trying to share information. And this is the same with the mortgage, actually. They don't let you make like partial payments. You have to make the whole payment in one go, which is really frustrating and hard to like budget for. You have to do it on your end instead of the company helping you do so. Another way that they're like, we're gonna get you with fees and late payments and interest and all that nonsense. Such nonsense. So we've been able to kind of like work the mortgage system a little bit in order for us to make partial payments and budget a little bit easier for our lifestyle. And so I'm basically just like backwards engineering that for my part of the personal loan. So since that's the highest interest rate, that's what I'm going to pay off first. That's also, besides the medical bill, my highest amount that I owe. Avalanche method it is. I think that will be really helpful for me, and I think that will show like, oh, I'm making real progress. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. But I'm just happy that I could put a term on it because, you know, you hear avalanche, you hear snowball, and to actually have the opportunity to use it, even though I'm like not stoked I'm in that debt anyway, is helpful. I've got a term, I've got a strategy, I've got something that I can try to make it theoretically easy. Now, in May, I also am planning Emmett's first birthday party. So Emmett will turn 1 year old at the beginning of June, which is absolutely insane. So we are planning a party. Now, should I be planning a party for a 1 year old if I'm trying to pay off debt? Maybe not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We're having it at our house. We're gonna grill out. I'm asking all of the guests to bring side dishes to help cut down on our needs. Plus everybody gets to eat what they want. It takes a lot of the like planning stress off of me, but there are some things that I'm going to need to purchase to serve and entertain all of these people. So we're gonna have like a little photo booth. We're gonna make it out of cardboard. I'm gonna use paint that I already have. We have some decorations. We are gonna do some balloons. We're gonna do some low waste and cheap-ish snacks for the party, a couple of activities that are low waste and just kind of fun, and hopefully we can do it as sustainably and as cheaply as possible. We shall see. I'm a little worried about thrifting silverware and plates and things like that when I really could just buy like paper disposable ones. Maybe I'll do compost. That's an idea. So I've got some things that I need to spend some money on this month for Emmett's birthday. Is that an expense? Yes. Am I willing to do it because it's his first birthday? Absolutely. It is definitely not a party for him. It's a party for me. I know that. You know that. And that's okay. So as always, thank you for listening to me ramble about my finances on the internet and for watching this madness completely unfold. We're getting very close to halfway through the year, and my plan is to make like a big 6-month halfway done with this deal. Lots of graphs, lots of info, lots of data. We'll see if I have the energy or the ability. But for me, like I want to do that anyway. So bonus. So I know you're all wondering, but Casey, how'd your business do? But Casey, how'd your house account do? The business was crazy in April. I made almost $10,000, which is great for me. We had a little bit more expenses because I rented the studio a couple more times. There was more gas that was used, things like that. Overall, I'm very happy with the income that came in and the money that's going out. My checking account for the business is almost at its highest that it's ever been. Once I get like a couple of more of these overdue invoices, it'll be there. And then the house account, we ended up actually spending more money than we put into the account last month, but that is because Dan was basically taking out his bit of the tax refund and using it to restart his retirement savings and restart some of his things. And that's totally fine. We've got it. We've got the cushion. It's okay. So anyway, thank you for watching. I will be back. I've got some other cool content in the works for you guys that's not money related. Believe it or not, even though that's what my brain is thinking about all the freaking time. But if you want to follow along on this no-buy journey, or if you're on a no-buy journey, please tell me about it. Yes, this is technically a low buy, not a no-buy, but gradual steps, y'all, to being more sustainable, to being more minimal, and being more frugal. Until next time, bye.